So first thing first, the second part of this class, which is the introduction to the ArcGIS Pro and its interface and how does it handle the data. So assuming that you have already got it installed, right? So there are three major segments here. This is the landing page of ArcGIS Pro. Once you click on, maybe what I do is I'll bring up this little session. I mean, from the very beginning, and what we'll do is we'll log in using the details, maybe that you have registered, or maybe I'll try one which is not which has not been used or something, so that to give you an idea. But in whatever manner I do, I'll always end up with this interface being already having projects, because I have worked on the projects in the past, right? So to be able to give you this little how to do this, we start with ArcGIS Pro. And when it starts up, the interface, it would initialize like this. And when it starts up, it would ask you for your username, password, the basic registration thing, right? So it's taking a bit of a time for me, but once you have this, the interface, I'll show you that. It's here. It would be this way. The username and the password that you had created while you had registered. Hey, still have a hand raised from Pooja. Pooja, anything in particular that you want to bring to the notice? Are you back at your system, or is you still accessing it on your mobile phone? By any which ways, I cannot hear you, but if you can hear me, I'll come to the queries.
Hello, can you? Hello.
Yeah, Pooja, I can hear you now.
Okay. The thing is that I asked two queries regarding ArcGIS Pro, the difference between ArcGIS Pro and the ArcGIS 10.3.
That is being taken care of. That will be dealt. I said the ones that are related to the interface and ArcGIS Pro per se, which will be dealt first, and the ones which are more related to the areas of your interest, or maybe the projects that you are working on, if the time permits, we'll take it up in the class. If it doesn't, maybe in another class, or maybe you'll get a support mail from us detailing what exactly, because the participants are from varied backgrounds, so we have specific similar queries from others also, like related to transportation, related to hydrology. So we'll take it up later on, right? But first thing first, now that we are talking, did you get a chance to have it installed on your system?
Yeah, I got installed.
Good, great.
No, it's installing. Actually, it's the downloading, because here the net problem is going on, so it's been downloaded.
Acha, not a problem, not an issue. Now that you are downloading, let it take whatever time it takes. Once it is done, you'll get to see the screen like this. You'll enter your login details, and maybe username, password I did incorrect or what? Let me see. I use one. in. So the moment I'll be in, it will give you this successful message that it is connected to the licensing portal, and it will continue to work normally. Meaning, in other words, that every login gets authenticated, validated by the server at the server's end, and this is one of the prominent differences between the ArcMap era, the ArcGIS desktop, be it whatever 10.1, 10.6, 10.7, whatever. So the basic difference would be, first thing first, that the UI has changed, and prior to that, and the UI change is with respect to the user experience, and you as a user would get to feel it. But from Esri's point of view, what has really changed is that the way the authentication was done, the way the licensing is being validated has changed completely. From initial days wherein you had a licensing server installed on the system, maybe on the server end, server hardware or of your organization, and then you had instances or licenses being borrowed from that licensing server, using that licensing server. So anything and everything that was done in terms of validation of the license was done at the user end, right, at the client side. But now things have changed. It has changed upside down. Every login, every single login is validated at the server end. So they have brought in, they have introduced a tighter control over the licensing, because earlier the licenses were compromised. People took, misused the licenses, they distributed the licenses and stuff like that. So the problem that people faced, or the company primarily faced, was that it it sold one license, but it was used as 3 instances, that it was used as 30 instances, right? But that has completely changed and it's stopped, because every time that you want to log in, your login would be validated. Your login would be validated at the server's end. So that is point number one. And the user's perspective, the major difference is the UI. So once you open it up, while you install it on your system, which is fresh, you'll have the recent projects theme as like completely blank. But for after you have started using all the projects that you would have worked on it, it would come appearing in this recent projects segment, the left panel. Then there is this center area, which is the templates area. It's the same as the ArcMap templates. Once you load it, it throws to you the different templates that you have either worked in the past, or it also gives an option of a blank template to use for this particular project. Or maybe you can simply cross and do not use a template for this particular section that you want. Same is the case here. Either you use the blank template, the map, the catalog, the scene or local scene, or maybe you can start without a template and later on. So this is as good as clicking on the little red X cross button on the ArcMap, meaning you're not starting with any template for now. And but in ArcGIS Pro, this has come as an option here. So either you select a blank template and you start, or you do not select a template, whatever be your choice. One. But if your organization is working on a project which is a long-term project, and different people, many members are working on it, so different team members work on a single project, but they definitely work on the specific segments that that has been assigned to them. So in such a scenario, your organization might come up with a particular template in terms of the one which suits the deliverable, or whatever the company that has assigned you this project has asked the data output or the resultant to be in. They can define a particular project and that template, and then that template can be used by you or any other team member that is working on that particular project. So in such a scenario, you might have your templates, your your individualistic templates, your personalized templates here, or you can select it from, if you have many, maybe you can select it from the physical drive on your system. You can work on any defined project template. But for now, we are not going into the details of working on a particular customized project template. We are starting with a blank template. Okay. So the moment you click on template, you are about to create a new project. And how do you save it? Default selection or suggestion from ArcGIS would be my project 1 2 3. It would continue doing that, but if you wish, you can give it a name, or maybe in most of the cases you would have to give it a name. But if you wish, you can continue with what the software has suggested, my project. We will take it as like class of today, right? So which is 25th of May, okay, 2019. And whatever area on the physical drive you wish to have this project stored on, you can select that option. Okay, so if you select one particular folder, right, like here, you come here and you have a folder already defined, you can opt for that. If you do not have any folder defined, you come here, right, or you create one, a new folder, or maybe you can also create a new database directly. If you have a particular folder wherein you want to have this new project database in, you can simply create a database directly here also. But whatever be your choice, right? And one more thing that I'll like to show you, there is a little checkbox here which says it will create a new folder for this project, meaning the area that you specify, the physical path, the path to the physical location on the drive, the area that you select, it would create a new folder by this name, right? Class 2505, whatever. But if you do not check this, if you uncheck this and you browse and you only come to the drive wherein you want to create this, you do not specify anything further, right? You do this and you create one, right? It would create the folder with this name. So whatever be your choice, from now I'm creating a new folder, right? And for the sake of simplicity, I'm giving it a name which is Arc Pro underscore project. No, but this is optional. You can select whatever way you feel like. Okay, so I have selected this and I'm specifying that you do not create a new folder for this. You only use this particular defined one. Okay, so I've created one. The name that I gave to the project would start appearing here. This is in this particular folder, and the project name is this, which is a basic map type of a project. In ArcGIS Pro, another difference from the past, the ones that who have been using the legacy ArcMap thing. So difference is that the moment you load ArcGIS Pro, a default topographic layer is added for you to start working, so you to start creating your projects or spatial data on, maybe load a spatial data or directly create one. Second, and a very major difference is in ArcMap, in whatever version, you had to, once you selected or loaded a particular data set, you had to, if you have to work on that data in terms of adding something, editing, removing something, you had to bring that thing into an edit mode. You had to start an edit session, right? You remember you had to go to the path and say start edit. You maybe do a right click or whatever, and then you just start edit. But in ArcGIS Pro, every data that is being loaded, either you drag and drop or you upload it from a geodatabase or you create a new one. By default, it is in the edit mode only. So you do not have to start an edit session. So anything that you do, and remember, if you did not run an edit session, right, and you did not save it later on, your data that you created got lost, right? You could have done something, but it was not in the edit session. It would not have persisted to the database. But be careful while using this, using ArcGIS Pro. Anything and everything that you do, because it's in an edit session, the moment you submit or you save or you hit this save project or whatever, it gets persisted to the database. It gets saved to the database. So a major difference is that every data is by default in the edit session. You do not have to start a session again. So the UI, the other major difference, the ribbon with layout, this menus and the sub menus. I said these are contextual menus. These are contextual items. No, when I say contextual, when I say ribbon, maybe you get a feel, maybe you do not get a feel. But as and when we start working with the data, as and when we start loading the data and stuff, you would get to see the difference then. Okay. So another difference, by default in ArcMap, you had the ArcMap thing, and if you wish, you could have opened Arc catalog from within ArcMap, right? By going on the Arc catalog thing and then opening it. Once opened, you could have docked it into the right pane or reference wherever, right? But here you do not have to really start a new session, or you do not have to, because earlier in desktop application, ArcMap was a different software, ArcCatalog was a different software. Here ArcGIS Pro is the one single package, and within comes ArcMap and ArcCatalog both. Okay, so you you can simply go to the view tab and you can reset the pane in terms of what you wish to do. Default comes catalog and geoprocessing. So catalog you do not have to initialize, but you can have a catalog pane. If you have by any chance, if you have removed this, you can have your catalog pane from here. And the old version catalog, the R catalog thing, people who are familiar with that, you can have the same feel by using the catalog view. So the catalog view would give you the feel of our catalog, right? And wherein you do not have to, as I said, you do not have to start a new session or start the new application. It is there already initialized. All you have to do is you have to change the view. You have to alter the view of the software and the pane would come. Okay, so this is the catalog, and with this, in terms of our catalog, initially you also were able to do a spatial reference, change of spatial type by getting into the catalog. The same you can do here also. For in terms of raster, you can go ahead and define the spatial reference for that raster, which you cannot do from the map view. So the catalog view and the map view. For us, catalog view is really not important here, hence we'll remove it. Otherwise, because catalog pane is already there by default. And the same old functionality that you go ahead, the default project folder is here, but you can go and add folder connections, make connections to different data sets available there on the physical drive, right? You can maybe connect as many number of folders, no restrictions there. Once you do the connection, all the subfolders automatically come in for you to work on, right? Again, similar functionality, no real change. So what we do is we do a couple of connections here to give you a very quick overview. Nothing really changes, but I would want you to work with this reset pane thing. Reset pane is a new functionality that is been introduced. So this is changing the layout of the things that we are working on. For now, if we are working on a mapping, which is the default view also, we have our catalog and the geoprocessing tool. But if we are to work on the editing thing, we'll change and the catalog would stay there, but the geoprocessing would go away and the create feature and the modify feature would be introduced. If we again reset the pane for geoprocessing only, the modify and the create goes away, the catalog and geoprocessing comes in. So, but with the exception that the geoprocessing is now highlighted and active. There are in excess of 900 geoprocessing tools available in ArcGIS Pro. Some of them or most of them are already there in ArcMap in the later versions. Some of them are new, but you at no point in time maybe you would require to learn all, because the project that you work, the nature of your job, the nature of your job profile would be limited to certain aspects. Like someone would be working with hydrological stuff, someone would be working with urban planning stuff, someone would be working with transportation and everything. So when I say at no point in time you would be using all, but whatever is the most common ones and the ones that you should really know, we would be dealing with that. But another change in terms of ArcGIS Pro and ArcGIS is that in most of the cases, in most of the functionalities that you work on in ArcGIS Pro, you would be invariably unknowingly working with a geoprocessing tool, right? So most of the things have been defined in terms of a geoprocessing tool, and in ArcMap days you had to enable the geoprocessing tool by doing a right click here on the and then selecting and everything, but not with this, not anymore, right? So it is there, and whatever you do, even with respect to adding data in terms of XY point data, you would be working with a geoprocessing tool itself. So most of the things have been converted into a geoprocessing tool. All you have to do is to select and find whatever you feel like. Whatever keyword you do, it would start giving you the options which match those criteria, and it would ask you to select from any of these. Like I did only a select, so comes in the select, which is the extract feature from an input feature class, or select by dimension, or select layer by location, or select layer by attribute, or table select, whatever. So things change with respect to what I'm working, and that is something that I wish to show you. So maybe in some of the earlier classes that we had worked on some data. Let's try to find that. Okay. So I have to work on one particular raster, right? And show you as to how you can really work on different data types and how the contextual menu changes. Okay, so this is one particular shapefile. This is a layer file. This is a raster which is rectified. This is a raster which has been reprojected. This is a simple raster, a JPEG file. Nothing really has been there in terms of its spatial reference. You can go ahead and check the property, right, and see for yourself as to what exactly is the spatial reference of it. The spatial reference is unknown, nothing really. So it's a plain and simple image file. So the way that I can load is, I can, if the stuff is already there in my catalog view, I can go ahead and do add to the current map, right? This is one way of doing it. Okay, so the moment it gets loaded, it would come to the table of content in the left pane, and it would be positioned as it should be in terms of its reference and everything. Because it's an unreferenced one, where would it go? I would put that up as a question for you, and I want an answer by the end of this session. If I load a particular JPEG file or a PNG file, which is an image file, which is a raster, which is unreferenced, right? It doesn't have a spatial reference. Where would it point to? Because when I loaded it, it's already there in the table of content, but it doesn't show up, right? It doesn't really show up where it has gone. One, maybe in terms of the global, I have this data. Where has it gone? Cannot see it, right? So answer that one. Second major change from the original ArcMap days, or the golden ArcMap days. In ArcMap, if you have to work on different projects, if you have to work on different data sets which represent different geographies, you had to open different instances of ArcMap. Maybe you're already running one instance, then you would go ahead and again search for ArcMap, and then you would run that. But not in ArcGIS Pro. What you can do is you can insert another map, a new map, a new layout, a new report, a new connection, a new imported map, whatever. So if I insert this new map, there comes the new map, the map 1, and the default topographic. See, the table of content has changed. So this is contextual. Things change as you change, as your focus changes. This is new in ArcGIS Pro. This was not there in ArcMap. You had to run another instance. There had to be 2 instances running for ArcMap here, if it was ArcMap, right? And had ArcGIS Pro been the same, you would have to have 2 instances of ArcGIS Pro running to be able to show 2 different maps. But here in ArcGIS Pro, you can work on 2 different projects and without affecting the other one. So the table of content changes, the UI changes, and I'll also show you this. We have this JPEG file. The moment I am highlighting this, the moment this is selected, you see the menu, the raster layer. The software shows, or starts telling me that this is a raster layer that I'm working on, and the appearance and the data would change accordingly. Okay, so this is a raster layer. The appearance would say the raster thing, the swipe, the the transparency thing, this little flicker thing, the symbology thing, the resampling, the combination and stuff like that. In the second map, maybe let me try to work with vector layer. So if I go in some other areas, maybe I get to find some other data. Okay, so this is one data, right? This is one data I've loaded. So this is a vector, right? This is a line. This is point. So let me zoom to this particular layer. So I have different points in an area, wherever. I have the topographic map as offered as default by this tool, but I can change the base map. right? I can change the base map any days. I can change the base map from imagery to anything, the ones that come to you as an option. And when you change the view, things change. Things change, and you can change the symbology here for the layer or the data to be more visible and everything. Right? So here I've changed the symbology, and you have got a new clear view. Maybe I would also work on changing the color here. I'll take up your queries. I'm coming to you. So I've changed it. I have applied. Things have changed. Okay. So let me see if the query is about this. Pooja. Yes, Pooja. Pooja. Not audible. Not there. You have muted yourself.
Can you
You're
hear me?
muted. I can hear you now.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. You have asked a question that where is that map right now?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
I think so that it is superimposed below the topographic map. To view it, so we have to unclick the topographic map, then only we can view that map.
Let me see. I'll come back to this, but it's over this. The drawing order is like the JPEG is on top of the topographic, but still, if you say I would switch this off, right? And then I zoom into this, I get to see this, right?
Yeah.
The data is there, but it's not affected by the topographic layer because the topographic layer is below this layer. So whatever is in terms of the layer drawing order, whatever is on the top should be there, right? But my query was
Yes.
it would be there. It's not that it is under or some whatever. It should be there, but where it would be pointing to was my question. Like for example, when we uploaded this, right, and this is a rectify, I mean this has a special reference because this is a vector layer. So if it had a spatial reference, it directly came pointing to the area that it belongs to, right? That's what is happening, huh? When I zoom to the other layer, you'll see the area below this would change. The map or the base map rather below this would change because this is now pointing to a different location, a different geography. Okay, so this is the different area, this is the different area, this is the different area, but whatever data I load, right, it automatically starts pointing to that. But it did not happen that way when it was a plain and simple unknown spatial reference JPEG file. So the answer that you gave was not up to there. Okay, but still you can try. You tried, and that's appreciable. But you can try. I'll tell you where it would be, but I would like to have someone else also attempt this. Okay. So okay. So what I was telling first was like how exactly this contextual thing works. So in the map, the one which is map, if I do if I do a selection of the JPEG file, the software tells me that this is the raster layer, the appearance of the data starts appearing that way. But when I come to map one and I do a NJ point, the system starts telling me that this is a feature layer, and the appearance and the labeling and the data, things change with respect to the context that we are working on. The data here and the data here are two different things. The same area, the same real estate has been reused with respect to the context that the user is working on. So here the user is working on a raster layer, here the user is working on a vector layer. So the stuff, the data tab has changed, wherein this was not the case to be in ArcMap or any other GIS softwares for that matter, which is available now, on the market, in the markets. So this is very beautiful. This is very helpful. When it changes with respect to what you are doing, you feel more connected. You're so much interested in the software. This is what has made this software very popular in quick time. So the stuff changes, suggestions come appearing, the appearance and everything, whatever. It's so very useful, so very helpful. So these are some of the very basic yet prominent ones. When I say basic, is something which would catch your attention, which would come before your eyes, and you cannot really miss it. And when I say important, these are important because you cannot do without them, right? So this is how it has changed. So coming back to what we had to work on was, we had to get for ourselves an overview of the map and the catalog and the layout views. We did that. The views, this is the map and the catalog and the layout view, how things have changed, right? We have discussed the components of the ribbon, the standard toolbar menu, how things change when it is a ribbon technology, how the menus and the submenus change. In ArcMap, everything was either you do a right click here, and from the drop down that is presented, you have to select or unselect 1, 2, or whatever. Once you selected something, it came in as an option here. Once you remove that, it went away. But the basic stuff, the menu bar, did not really change, right? But in ArcGIS Pro, the menus and everything change. Everything changes. There is lesser number of menus, more number of menus, right? So things change. Add functionality, adding base map, accessing the vector and data, raster data. Okay. So we have already worked on this. We have already done these, but formally, let me walk you through. So add data. I'll try it in this one. So how I did in the first time here was that I did a right click and I said add to the current map. So this is one way of doing it. The other way is that you simply click here, right? But this is not related to this area. So this is related to this area. You simply click here, whatever, right? And then you drop it here. This time around, the layer will not be visible, as Pooja has mentioned, because this is now underneath the topographic layer. So if I do a zoom to layer, it would zoom, but it would not show up because it is underneath, right? So this is another way of, I'm not getting into that detail as to the drawing order and everything, but I'm walking you through the different ways to add data to it. So you had two. You can do a right click and you do add to the current map. You can drag and drop from here. You can use this add data drop down, which is there for ages. It was always there in ArcMap. It was also there before ArcMap, right? So you add data to the map. You click on this add data to the map, then it asks you from where you want to add it to. It would walk you through the entire physical space on your hard drive, and you can select from any area and you can opt it. Click OK and it would be loaded. Okay, so to do that, let me see. This is this. I simply click on this. It comes here, gets added as a standalone table because this is a spreadsheet. This is an Excel file, but it gets loaded to the table of content. So the third way of doing it, right? Now, when I go to this drive again, and maybe I go to some other layer, for example, this one, right? Let me see. Yes, this one. I do not do anything. I only change. Okay. So this is a shape file, and this is my hard disk from a D drive, from a particular subfolder. I'm picking this. Do a left click, drag it, drop it. Another way of doing it, right? It gets loaded. So how do you add data? Is the 2-3 different ways how you do it. One, then comes this adding base map and accessing the vector and the raster layer. So while we were adding the data using the add functionalities, the different types of add functionalities, different ways of adding data, we were adding either vector or raster data only.